Thank you. We've been testing you, and you failed. See how long that you can sit with the truth, but you bailed. And I don't think you even recognize the loss of control, and I don't think you even see it in yourself. See, every one of us is counting dice that we didn't roll, and the loser is the last to ask for help. Be afraid, very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid, very afraid. But do it anyway. Do it anyway. The stage belongs to you and you feel like a star. And you can bark and snap like a dog at the man who just tuned your guitar. But I don't think you even recognize the kid in the wings, and I don't think you even see her in yourself. She looks to you for what to do with all her delicate dreams, but you're too terrified to be of any help. Be afraid, be very afraid, but do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid, be very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. We don't take requests, we won't shut up and sing. Tell the truth enough, you find it rhymes with everything. We've been testing you, you failed. To see how long that you could hold it in before you scream, but you only exhale. And I don't think you even recognize the sound of your voice when it's blasting through the speakers in the sky. And if your words add up to nothing, then you're making a choice to sing a cover when we need a battle cry. Be afraid, be very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid, be very afraid, but do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid, be very afraid, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid, be very afraid, do it anyway. Do it anyway.
Good morning, my fellow Waxians. I'm addressing you today in relation to the matters pertaining to the Wax Office of Inspector General, OIG, election. As you may or may not know, I am a candidate for this office. My name is Kevin Duska. I'm also known as Prime Rogue here on Wax, and I'm speaking to you this morning to denounce the inappropriate communication structures existing between the Wax Office of the Inspector General and the guilds that it evaluates. But first, I'd like to talk to you about the incumbent office holder, Kiefer. Since the beginning of the campaign period, we've exchanged a large number of direct messages, and I've found him to be a thoughtful, intelligent, and good-hearted person, and a kind man. I'd like to emphasize in saying all of this that I am not running against Kiefer. I'm running on the basis of ideals and visions for this chain. I'm running as a reformist on the basis of a set of ideas that's going to benefit the users of this chain and the Brock producers also in the long run, in terms of its long-term viability and in terms of user retention and acquisition. This said, however, The Office of the Inspector General is meant to be an independent oversight body, but its members casually interact with block producers, the very individuals whom they judge, on a casual basis in Telegram channels like Unofficial Wax and on Discord. Given that the Office of the Inspector General is meant to be an independent entity, I ask you to join me in also condemning this state of affairs. These Inspectors Generals are meant to represent you and me, ordinary wax users. The fact that they're interacting with these parties, the ones that they are meant to judge objectively, in a context where they lack an objective and operationalized framework for judging, is inappropriate and replete with moral hazard. I urge you to contact the OIG today and tell them that this is a time for change and a time for reform. It is time for the OIG members to only communicate with the guilds through official channels. The OIG is not a popsicle stand, and it should not be run like one. In that respect, I humbly ask for your vote this July to bring reform to the Office of the Inspector General, but at the same time, voting for me doesn't matter. What matters most is that you vote in the first place, and a lot of you have it in the past. The Wax blockchain is not a democracy. Rather, it's a corporate governance structure. The more CPU you have staked, the more resources you have staked, the more your vote counts for. This is not one person, one vote. And that's fine because Wax is a private company. Wax is seeking to make profit. Wax wants to do what's in its best interests. But I'm here, not the most qualified candidate in terms of technology, but qualified in terms of law, in terms of governance, and in terms of common sense to help improve the chain, to help improve the way that block producers are evaluated, and ultimately to improve the onboarding of new users and the retention of current ones. I'd like to thank you for listening to me. If there are any questions from the chat, I'd be happy to take them. Otherwise, I'd like to discuss some other matters pertaining to the chain and to these OIG elections. And one of those is the OG culture that tends to prevail in the wax space. This original gangsta culture. This deference that's given to those who have been there the longest. It's almost an unquestioned deference. And should those who have been in place the longest receive some degree of deference? Absolutely. But deference should not be blind loyalty. Rather, deference should be consistently evaluative. It's something that must be undertaken in a manner that's germane to judging a person on the basis of their contributions, on the basis of what they can do right now, rather than solely on the basis of how long they've been there or their historical record as an IG or as a block producer. And you know what? Kiefer's been around a long time in Wax Unofficial. He's known, and this is his title, the OG of OGs. And I do not begrudge him this because he's been here since the beginning of the chain's existence. Heck, he's been here prior to that. And he is a good man. But at a certain time, there comes a point where there's a need for reform, a need for new ideas. And I'm here to bring some of those. I've put forth my first two policy proposals for this election. The first of them pertains to the operationalization of all key variables pertaining to guild evaluations. And I feel that my Git book makes a solid case in demonstrating that not all the criteria that are used to evaluate the guilds are actually measurable and put into place. The second of these pertains to ethics and communications with block producers outside of the context of formal channels. This kind of communication is absolutely inappropriate and detracts from the perception of the integrity of the IGs. And this must absolutely be modified. Not in the future. It must be changed now. This is a change that we as wax users must demand to ensure a transparent process, a process that is fair and just for the block producers, and that ensures that conflicts of interest do not come to dominate how these are evaluated and which services are provided to users of the chain. The chain is made up of gamers, it's made up of artists, it's made up of ordinary users, it's made out of Funko's pop lovers. They all have different needs. And we need to have block producers that reflect these needs, both in terms of technical metrics like uptime and API configurations, but also in terms of substantive contributions to the chain. I'd like to take a moment to address the French community, as I'm probably going to speak about 7 languages during this stream. Bonjour à tous mes concitoyens de Wax, mon nom est Kevin Dusca, aussi connu sur le nom de Prime Rogue sur la chaîne Wax. Je m'adresse à vous ce soir pour dénoncer la structure de communication absolument inappropriée qui existe entre le bureau de l'inspecteur général de Wax et les guildes pour les blocs producteurs qui l'évaluent. Mais d'abord, je voudrais vous parler du titulaire du poste Kiefer. Depuis le début de la période de la campagne, moi et lui, on va échanger un grand nombre de messages directs. Je lui trouve d'être un homme attentionné, gentil, un bonhomme. Je tiens à souligner que je ne me présente pas contre lui s'il choisit de se présenter à nouveau. Plutôt, je me présente comme un réformiste sur la base d'un ensemble d'idées qui profiteront aux utilisateurs de la chaîne ainsi qu'aux producteurs de blocs en termes de viabilité à long terme de la chaîne et en termes d'utilisateurs du côté rétention autant que du côté d'acquisition. Ceci étant dit, le bureau de l'inspecteur général est censé être un organisme de surveillance indépendant, mais ses membres interagissent avec désinvolture avec les producteurs de blocs, les personnes même qui jugent de manière informelle sur des chaînes de Telegram comme Unofficial Wax et sur Discord. Étant donné que le bureau de l'inspecteur général se veut une entité indépendante, je vous demande de vous joindre à moi pour condamner ce état de fait. Ces inspecteurs généraux sont censés nous représenter, vous et moi, les utilisateurs ordinaires de Wax. Leurs interactions avec les parties même qui sont censées juger sont inappropriées et remplies d'aléas moraux. Je vous demande de contacter l'OIG comme moi et leur dire qu'il est temps de faire des réformes. Il est temps pour eux de ne communiquer avec les guildes que par les canaux officiaux. L'OIG n'est pas un stand de popsicle. Arrêtons de courir comme tel. Je vous demande humblement votre vote ce juillet pour apporter une réforme au bureau de l'inspecteur général. Mais voter pour moi, ça n'a pas d'importance. Ce qui est le plus important, c'est de voter tout court. Historiquement, ça n'a pas été le cas. Merci pour votre écoute. Je vous reparlerai bientôt. Et mes excuses pour l'heure tardive. Toutes mes meilleures acclamations. Kevin. Well, that was the French version of this stump speech. And we are here talking about the OIG and what's wrong with it. And I've had a long think about this. And, you know, the day after I put my first video out, I was condemned by some and defended by others, mind you, in this channel, Wax Unofficial. I'm a big boy. I can take my lumps. That was nothing I haven't dealt with before. It was actually kind of funny because the disconnect existing between the block producers and those who are proponents of reform is so huge that they're not speaking the same language. And we're living in a situation where the entities who produce the blocks are basically deciding these elections. The elite decide who the elite will be. And that's a feature that Wax has allowed to pervade for the entirety of the chain's existence. Kiefer is a good IG. I am not going to pretend otherwise. He is a good man and a good IG. But the structure in which he works is one that is decrepit and one that he has been there in for a long time. Mind you, it's important to note that the Office of the Inspector General has not tweeted or had not tweeted until about 2 days ago, since January 15th, 2023. And when asked about this, the IGs will reply that no one in the community contacts them. The majority of the community does not know what they do. And the reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Waxians, is that they do not talk about it. Because if they did, we would know how the sausage is made. And ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Waxians, it is not a pretty state of affairs. I can't prove that there's corruption in the Wax governance, but the structure that is there is absolutely one that is germane to it. I'd like to take a few moments to address our Spanish audience in Spanish and come back to you with a discussion of checks and balances regarding governance, whether it be a blockchain or any other entity. Mi nombre es Kevin Duska, también conocido como Prime Rogue aquí en Wax. Les hablo esta noche para denunciar la estructura de comunicación inapropiada que existe entre la oficina del Inspector General de Wax y los gremios que evalúa. Pero primero me gustaría hablarles sobre el titular del cargo Kiefer. Desde el comienzo del periodo de la campaña hemos intercambiado una serie de mensajes directos. He encontrado que es un hombre considerado y amable. Me gustaría enfatizar que no estoy compitiendo contra él en caso de que elija postulares nuevamente para la oficina del inspector general. Más bien me postulo como reformista sobre la base de un conjunto de ideas que beneficiaran a los usuarios de la cadena y los productores de bloques Purical en términos de viabilidad a largo plazo de la cadena y en términos de usuarios, retención y adquisición. Sin embargo, dijo esto, la oficina del inspector general está destinada a ser un organismo de supervisión independiente, pero sus miembros interactúan casualmente con los productores de blog. Las mismas personas a las juzgan de manera casual en canales de Telegram como un official Wax en Discord. Dado que la oficina del inspector general es destinada a ser una entidad independiente, les pido que se unan a mí para coordinar también este estado de cosas. Estos inspectores generales están destinados a representar a usted y a mí, usuarios comunes de Wax. Sus interacciones con las mismas partes que deben juzgar son inapropiadas y están llenas de riesgo moral. Póngase en contacto con la OIG hoy, dígales que es hora de reformar. Es hora que solo se comuniquen con los gremios a través de los canales oficiales. La OIG no es un puesto de helados. Debemos de ejecutarlo como uno. Humildemente pido su voto este julio para reformar la oficina del inspector general. Pero votar por mí, no importa. Lo más importante es que vote en primer lugar. Gracias por escuchar y disculpas por mi pobre, no muy bueno español. Salud. Oh, no. Mi español is no muy bueno at an FTBP. I don't speak Spanish. I speak French, and that leads me to try to speak Spanish. And I want to address as much of the community as possible. As you can clearly tell, that speech was pre-written. Gracias, Crypto. Gracias, mi amiga. Gracias. But the reality of this situation is, despite the fact that Wax is a private company, and that in being a private company, Wax has the right to govern itself however it pleases, Wax is also in stiff competition with Polygon, Immutable X, and a bunch of other chains as it pertains to which games will join it and as it pertains to user acquisition and retention. And one of the important issues in this respect is the fact that despite being a superior technical solution, Wax is not necessarily the best chain in terms of governance. And this is a deeply problematic situation. And this is the issue as to why Wax should consider structural reforms regarding the OIG. One of the most critical reforms that Wax must and should consider is the fact that as it currently stands, the Office of the Inspector General, the OIG, not only evaluates the guilds in terms of their production and in terms of their work, but also creates the criteria on which these guilds are evaluated. This situation is untenable, as it's conducive to self-dealing into the creation of structures of evaluation that are not necessarily beneficial to the community due to the insular nature and inconsistent communicative structures which are present with regards to these evaluations of the top 21 and of the standby producers. And as such, I call upon Wax, and if and when elected to the OIG, will spearhead an effort to make sure that the OIG is no longer responsible for creating the very same criteria that it is tasked with enforcing. I commit in the context of only running for one term as a member of the OIG, that I will ensure that by the end of this term, that I've communicated to WACS and communicated to my colleagues in the OIG that it is absolutely inappropriate and incomprehensible that as an independent watchdog organism, we are simultaneously creating and enforcing policy. Have they not heard of the separation of powers in the context of governance? The separation of powers is at the crux of everything in governance. And to put it quite simply, as it pertains to the WACS ecosystem, it does not exist. Now, again, WACS is a private company. WACS can do whatever it wants. The thing is while WACS can do whatever it wants, so can consumers. I love WACS, and I plan on staying here. But you know what? The games that have excited me the most recently, with a few exceptions, have been on other chains. And developers and artists, especially artists, are going to other chains. Developers to Polygon, Immutable X, artists to Tezos and Telos, because of the fact that WACS governance is so damn poor. And it is time for us to change that. And one of the principal ways that we can change that is by creating a context in which those who judge will no longer be those who decide how judgment is imposed. As it currently stands, and to use the metaphor that's been put forth to me before, the OIG is currently the judge, jury, and executioner. And that's very much true. They make policy, they implement policy, and they decide the consequences of policy. Would you be comfortable being tried for a crime by an entity evaluated by those who benefit from its decisions, that would be the judge, jury, and executioner? I sure as hell wouldn't. And I think that most like-minded, sane people would not accept this type of situation. And that's another one of the reasons that I am running for the WACS OIG. I would now like to address the Slovak community in my admittedly very poor Slovak to get my message forward. I will then speak to you some more in English. Dobre Jano. Volám sa Kevin Duška, tiež známy ako Prime Rog tu na WACS. Hovorím k vám dnes večer, aby som obcusil nevhodnú komunikačnú struktúru medzi úradom generálov inspektora WACS a spolkami, ktoré hodnotí. Ale najprv by som sa s vami rád porozprával o úradzožom prezidentovi Kiefer. It tried to translate Kiefer. Od začiatku obdobia kampanie sme zimeli možno priamieć sprav. Zistil som, že to premyslený a laskavý muž. Chcel by som zdôrazniť, že nekandidujúcem proti nemu, ak by sa opäť rozhodol kandidovať na úrad generálneho inspektora. Skôr kandidujem ako reformista na základe súboru nápadov, ktoré budú prísonom pre používateľov retáča, ale až výrobcov blokov, pokiaľ ide o dlhodobú životapočnosť retáža a používateľov učovení a získavení. To tak znamená, že úrad generálneho inspektora má byť neznavým orgánom dohľadu, ale jeho členovino príležitostne komunikujú s producenti blokov. Teda s jednotlivcami, ktorí pracujú na príležitostnej báze v telegramových kanáloch, ako sú Unofficial WACS a na Discord. Vzhľadom na to, že úrad generálneho inspektora má byť nezávislým subjektom, žiadam vás, aby ste sa prijadli až ke obsedeniu tohto štávu. Títo generálni inspektori môžu zastupovať vás a mňa bez nič pozývateľov WACS. Ich interakcie so stranami, ktoré môžu súdiť, sú nehodné a pełne moralnego hazardu. Kontaktuje OIG estes den a powiecie im, że snaz na reformu. Je czas, aby się siedzmi komunikowali iba oficjalnymi kanałami. OIG nie, że stojan na nanuki. Przestańmy to tak dopuszczać. Pokornie was zjadam, aby ste tento jul hlavolosi za reformała uradu generalnego inspektora. Ale hlaslować znamne ni, że doložity naš doložtyše je, aby ste hlavlovsi na pravom mieście. Ďakujem za vypokoču a ospravedlnumum za môžu šlabu Slovensku. Vzetko na želmny na zdrevde. That was some very poor Slovak, ladies and gentlemen. I think I overestimated my abilities just a little bit there. But while we were talking about checks and balances and what's going on wax, I am not the most qualified candidate to be Inspector General from a technical perspective. I've admitted this before, and I've admitted this again. But I've also said that those who currently sit as IGs are not qualified to develop governance structures. And that is exactly what they are currently doing. Given that they are tasked with both implementing policy and evaluating production in relation to this policy, there is an inherent disjuncture between these two areas of responsibility that must be corrected. This structure of governance is laughable. In politics, it would be what would be conducive to dictatorship. I do not know how this can be allowed to prevail and to continue existing in this day and age. It just makes no sense. Even if Wax is a private company, which it is, and can govern itself however it wants, this governance structure is counterproductive for the chain as it pertains to its credibility in terms of doing business. This absolutely needs to change in the short term, and I'm here to change it. I will only serve one term if elected, and my term will be absolutely 100% predicated and focused on reforming the institutions. To the best of my ability, in collaboration with the other IGs, I will evaluate the guilds, but I will not evaluate any guild on the basis of a criterion that has not yet been operationalized. Hence, if I'm elected, my evaluations will be incomplete until full operationalization of these criteria are in place. This will not prevent the effective functioning of the blockchain, but it will create a situation in which the IGs will not all be evaluating consistently, which ironically is already the fucking case. But back to Plato. There's this Plato quote that I love from the Republic that I had pulled up earlier. And I don't mean this in a pejorative sense, but in book 1, line 347 of the Republic, Plato says that, quote, one of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. I don't think Kiefer is my inferior. I think Kiefer is a smart guy and a good man. But I do think that as it pertains to the design of governance structures, the people who have been in the OIG historically have been my inferiors. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running for this office today, and in the context of what is clearly not a very competitive nor well-known election. And I'm trying to change that, to be honest with you. I'm trying to draw more attention to the office in as many ways as I can. But there's another quote that I very much like by Douglas Adams that he wrote in The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. And quote, one of the major problems, for there are several, one of the many problems with governing people is that of whom you get to do it, or rather of who managed to get people to let them do it. To summarize, it is a well-known fact that those people who must want to rule people are ipso facto those least suited to do it. To summarize the summary, anyone who is capable of getting themselves made president should on no account be allowed to do the job. Let me make this clear to you. I do not want this job, but I do feel that this job needs someone who is willing to engage in reform. For too long, the wax blockchain has been governed by technocrats. Technocrats are bureaucrats who essentially cloud themselves in technological superiority so as to justify decisions that are not truly justifiable. And that is very much what has occurred here on Wax for all of this time. And I want to talk about this little OG culture a little bit more, but to continue on this linguistic journey, and because of the fact that there are so many Italian projects that I love on Wax, it is time to address the Italian community. Mi chiamo Kevin Dushka, conosciuto anche come Prime Roghi su Wax. Vi parlo stasera per denunziare l'inappropriata struttura di comunicazione esistente tra l'ufficio dell'ispettore generale del Wax e la scorporazione valuta. Ma prima vorrei parlare del titolo del carica in carica Kafer. Dall'esito del periodo della campagna abbiamo scambiato una serie di messaggi diretti. L'ho trovato un uomo premuroso e gentile. Vorrei sottolineare che non mi candidate contro di lui se dovesse scegliere di candidarsi di nuovo per l'ufficio dell'ispettore generale. Piuttosto corro come un riformista sulla base di una serie di idee che andranno a vantaggio sia degli utenti della catena sia dei produttori di blocchi in termini di fattibilità a lungo termine della catena e in termini di utenti, ritenzione e acquisizione. Detto questo, tuttavia, l'ufficio dell'ispettore generale dovrebbe essere un organo di controllo indipendente, ma i suoi membri interagiscono casualmente con i produttori di blocchi, gli stessi individui che giudicano su base casuale nei canali Telegram come Unofficial Wax su Discord. Dato che l'ufficio dell'ispettore generale vuole essere un entity indipendente, vi chiedo di unirvi a me nel condannare anche questo stato di cose. Questi ispettori generali hanno lo scopo di rappresentare voi e me, normali utenti di Vax. La loro interazione con la stessa parti che dovrebbero giudicare sono inappropriate e piene di azzardo morale. Contatta l'OIG oggi stesso e digli che è tempo di riforme e che comunicino con le gilde solo attraverso i canali ufficiali. L'OIG non è uno stand di Giacioli. Smettiamola di farlo funzionare come tale. Chiediamo umilmente il vostro quoto chiesto l'uglie per portare la riforma all'ufficiale dell'ispettore generale. Ma votare per me non ha importanza. Ciò che conta di più è votare in primo luogo. Grazie per l'ascolto e mi scuso per il mio povero italiano. Ti auguro il meglio. Saluti. Wow. That's humbling, trying to speak multiple languages and not being 100% fluent in them. But it's still fun, and I feel that it's a sign of respect. I mean, everywhere I've been, people kind of seem to like it when you try to make an effort to speak in their language, and that's quite simply what I'm doing. What I want to say finally in this concluding part of this series of rants or musings about the OIG is that there's an OG culture that pervades the chain. And this OG culture is one wherein we're supposed to give deference to people who've been here the longest. A little while ago, in the context of some stupid conflict, the type of which can only exist on a blockchain with regards to such petty and unimportant things, someone said to me, and I'm paraphrasing rather than quoting, I'm a motherfucking OG in this space, and more broadly in life in general. So you better check your walls aren't made of glass or something before you throw rocks. Okay. That sounds like a threat. And I feel like we're operating under threat of reprisals from these OGs. And I fear that this has created within the community a sense of fear regarding reform, a sense of fear of uncertainty. It's created a sense of false complacency with regards to the idea that this chain is currently being governed in the most efficient way possible. We're in a bear market and it's the crypto winter. Well, let's not forget the wax is currently hovering at about 4 cents. 4 cents, ladies and gentlemen. 4 motherfucking cents. But essentially, and hey, Rabbit, what was I going to say? It's hovering at 4 cents, and we have OGs telling us this. We have OGs telling us everything's going to be okay, and to a certain extent, it probably will be when the bull runs, whenever the fuck that might be. But if the bull runs and the blockchain here at Wax is still governed like a popsicle stand, projects are not going to come here. Users are not going to stay here. And Mocha Twitcher just said, the grubs will save us, shaking my head. And while Crittercraft is one of the most innovative projects on the chain right now, I have to say, Mocha is right. The grub fish will not save us. Giving away 10-cent NFTs is on Twitter, Twitch rather, is not going to save the blockchain. Although it's a hell of fun. I'm not doing that right now because of the fact that I'm running for OIG. But what did Larry say? Sorry, Prime. Haha. Sounds like half the shit I get told. I may be an OG, but I'll never say it. It'll all be okay. No one should ever say it'll all be okay because honestly, it probably won't be. Yeah, dude, I love Grub too. I could run a Grub right now, but there wouldn't be a prize. Yeah, I know it's delusional. It's all okay. Wax will be okay. Well, that's something I've been told. And yes, I do think it's part of a collective, large-scale delusion that's primarily held by these Wax OGs. And I find it deeply, deeply troubling that they are given such deference on the basis of the fact around for a long time, and some of them have contributed a lot. Kiefer, the incumbent for this office, has contributed a hell of a lot to this blockchain. Blood, sweat, and tears. But ladies and gentlemen, at some point, when things keep going tits up, when things keep going the same, why are we doing it this way? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing the same way over and over again. The block producers are so cozy with the IGs, as shown by, go check Telegram, go look in Wax Unofficial. There's literally a candidate, well, presumably a candidate, that is literally called the OG of OGs. And to an extent, he is. But that should not determine his electoral viability. And again, he is a good man. That is not the issue at play. The issue is, are you on the side of reform or are you on the side of the status quo? Because the status quo isn't fucking working. And I am of the belief that if we do not make changes to the way this chain is governed in the short term, this chain will, despite its technological superiority vis-a-vis its components, this chain will collapse. And this chain will no longer be the go-to chain for gamers and for artists because of its speed, its low transaction costs, and myriad other benefits. So I'm encouraging you. I'm almost pleading with you. You're not going to vote for me. Just vote. At least draw attention to the office of the OIG so that next election, more reformist candidates will run and that we can longitudinally bring change to the chain in the manner that it deserves. Because absent that, we're going nowhere slow. And if we're going nowhere slow, the unfortunate reality is that we're going backwards. And I don't want to see that. Rabbit Larry, I mean, it may get better, but I mean, I don't put all your money on one chicken. Yeah, no. Chicken is on sale right now, though, at Safeway. I'm going to buy some tomorrow. Chicken thighs and whole chicken. They're both on sale, yo. That's pretty dope. Well, I've had one person publicly endorse me so far, and I am accepting endorsements. So if anyone wants to endorse me for OIG, you're more than welcome. I can probably get you some kind of banner that you can put. Oh wait, no, 2 people endorsed me actually. I can probably give you some kind of banner or freaking. I can't give you an NFT because that would be a conflict of interest, but I can give you an NTT that you could then use for something. But at the end of the day, technologically speaking, I am not the most qualified candidate for this office. Kiefer is far more qualified for me than from a technological point of view. I am a beginner coder. I've been coding for a matter of months rather than years. But I do understand how a blockchain operates. And I do have over a dozen years experience in democratization, good governance, and the law. I'm connected in multiple communities. I'm multilingual. And I'm here to bring change. And I will only run or serve, that is, for one term. I will not seek re-election if I'm elected. I am running as a reformer. And that is it. That is all. Nothing else. And if this reform can't come around, I'll stick on wax until the moment where wax is non-viable. Because I do love this chain. But as it currently stands, the governance structure of this chain is quite simply unsustainable. And this is perhaps my slogan because of this reality is, guys, I'm not here to make sure the trains run on time. I'm here to make sure there's a timetable in the first place. And I'd be happy to take any questions from the audience. Otherwise, I will raid out of here. Actually, I'll play my campaign song, Be Afraid by Jason Isbell, and then raid out of here. But I will wait a moment in case there are any questions from the audience that I would be happy to answer. And just so you know, later today, I will be on with the Bongsley Institute to play some poker. And this evening, I will be hosting with Data Junkie a tournament for Metropolis Origins. So y'all are more than welcome to come join me for those non-campaign events, as they will be fun because both projects are great. Mark Lar is an awesome dude. Mocha Twitcher, that is exactly what qualifies you. You're putting yourself out there. Viva la Wax Revolution. Well, thank you. That is super, super kind of you, Mocha. I really appreciate it. I'm not running because I want power. I'm running because the chain needs reform. Rabbit, my question is, how uncomfortable are you being in a suit this early? Well, I can tell you one thing. I decided I need to play the political game, Rabbit, but let's just say one thing. It is what's the term I'm looking for? It is formal on the top and sweatpants on the bottom. Ohio State sweatpants. And I just knocked some things over in doing that. But yeah, that's why I'm comfortable. Thank you again, Mocha. That's very nice of you. I really appreciate it. I don't know if the chain needs me, but the chain needs reform. And that's why I'm here. Well, that's where I did my PhD, Rabbit. So naturally, I'd have Ohio State sweatpants on. They're very old. I remember I bought them after a game in the rain at Ohio Stadium at the Horseshoe, where I just got completely soaked and I was soaked through my underwear, and I changed behind a bar on High Street. Anyway, you don't need to know the details. Oh, you're from Michigan. Well, if you're from Michigan, then I have to say, oh, I don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan, the whole state of Michigan, the whole state of Michigan. Don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan. We're from Ohio. We're from Ohio. Ohio. And stuff like that. Yeah, no, you don't like Ohio anything. We don't like ton. Fuck Ohio indeed. Yeah, this has been a fun time. And I will be doing these sessions semi-regularly. in all the 29 days or so that are left in this election cycle. If you have any questions, you can contact me on my social media, Primerogue Inc. 1 on Twitter. You can contact me on Discord via, well, you'll just find me. I'm pretty much everywhere. Love you too, Rabbit. And you could happy birthday, by the way. Happy birthday to Rabbit. Happy birthday, Rabbit. Happy birthday, Rabbit. Happy birthday, dear Rabbit. Happy birthday to you and many, many, many more. When the How to Stake and Vote show, good idea. I'm not sure. Oh, the When, the How, the Stake and Vote show. Yeah, I'm going to do that once voting opens after July 1st, Mocha. It is a good idea, I think, because a lot of people literally don't know how to vote. But I think that's something that needs to be done. Yo, thanks for the pitch, Mocha. Not at all necessary, but thank you. Last year of the 30s, HB. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing a video on how to vote, and I'd appreciate your retweets of such a video. And yeah, that's it. Unless I have any other questions, happy to take endorsements, happy to take your votes, but more important than anything else, just go and vote. This has been Kevin Duska, live from Calgary, Alberta at 5:26 in the morning, in the middle of minting NFTs, coming on to chat with you in several languages about wax OIG elections and the reforms that we need. And for now, let's see if we can do that thing where the song leads us out again, because I think the song was playing at the beginning. I thought it was pretty dope sauce, so I'm going to do that again. And we can go to Jason Isbell over here. And I believe
we've been testing you, and you failed.
Is the music playing, guys? I'm actually want to know this as a test.
See how long that you could sit was the truth, but you bailed. And I don't think you even recognize the loss of control. And I don't think you even
This is my campaign song.
See, every one of us is counting dice that we didn't roll, and the loser is the last to ask for help. Be afraid, be very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. The stage belongs to you, and you feel like the star. And you can bark and snap like a dog at the man who just tuned your guitar. And I don't think you even recognize the kid in the wings, and I don't think you even see her in yourself. She looks to you for what to do with all her delicate dreams, but you're too terrified to be of any help. Be afraid, be very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid, be very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. We don't take requests, we won't shut up and sing. Tell the truth enough, you find it rhymes with everything. We've been testing you, and you fail. To see how long that you could hold it in before you scream, but you only exhale. I don't think you even recognize the sound of your voice when it's blasting through the speakers in the sky. And if your words add up to nothing, then you're making a choice to sing a cover when we need a battle cry. Be afraid, be very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid, be very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid, be very afraid. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be afraid.
the only time I play politician is when I'm playing dress up. But if there's three things I want y'all to take away from that song is one, if you're afraid of something, do it anyway. Two, the truth rhymes with everything. And three, if we need a battle cry, don't sing a fucking cover song. Thank you for everyone who came and listened. Merci à tout le monde qui est venu écouter. Gracias a los todos por los escutarde. Danke. Diakuyem. Grazie. Let's find someone to rate into, folks. Who is online? No one really. Well, I guess we can raid into Splinterlands TV. Why not? I mean, they're not on Wax. Oh, we should raid in something on Wax, but no one's doing a Wax stream right now. There's literally no one doing a Wax stream. Viva la revolución! Let's fucking go. I have no illusions that I'm going to win this election, but let's fucking go anyway, guys. Let's fucking go. Let's raid into Splinterlands TV. Thank you again. Gracias a los todos. We are rating. Good night. Thank you all.